Oh, I just got disconnected. Oh, I guess we are live. That was weird. Well, I probably just blew the surprise. Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday, April 22nd. Welcome to another live drawing session with your friends, Chris Craft and Alley Cat. Anyway, I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds, maybe a minute or so to settle in, and then I'll run through the intro, show you what we're going to do, and then we'll get started. So let's all be patient, give everybody a chance to join, okay? Just going to adjust the camera a little bit. Sorry for the shaking. Okie dokie. How's everybody doing today? I can't hear you. No, I really can't hear you. I can only get one-way sound, but I hope you guys are doing great. I sure as heck am, and I'm really excited about the drawing we're going to do today. So I just want to make sure everybody's got a black marker, their colored pencils, and a sharpener if you're using the pencils, or you can use crayon, no problem there. Paper. Today I'd like you to have white paper. Just make sure your paper's light colored. And I'll tell you why. We're gonna let some of the white paper show through today to give the appearance of a white coloring to our animal. We need a hard, flat surface. You need a heart too. It helps your imagination. And smiles. As many smiles as you can. I'm hoping you can pack in a lot today. There's my first one. Now for the great reveal. Today we will be doing a super cool, stylish, wild, coming out of left field raccoon. How cool, right? I'm going to do this sort of yellow and green raccoon. You could do any color raccoon you'd like to today. And I will leave this out here so that you can make your color decisions. Maybe make a few mental notes about the drawing that I've got prepared here. Drink it in, and I'll be back. Alright, so we're at about 10:06, and I'd like to get started, and today this drawing should take about 45 to 50 minutes. As usual, you can take some time at the end, wrap up your drawing, but when you are done, please post it to the page directly so we can all enjoy our pictures together. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna get myself a nice, fresh, clean white sheet of paper. Let's see. Oh, hey, I remember you. I remember that guy. Let's see here. There we go. All right. Put that guy. See? I'm just going to put a backing piece of paper so that my marker does not bleed through onto the next page of my sketchbook. All right, so the fun thing about the raccoon today is we're going to start with our black marker like we always do. We're going to start with the nose like we always do. But we're not going to need to do too much marker work today. And I know the past couple of drawings we've done a lot of this marker work. So today I'm going to go easy on you guys. We're going to do a little bit of marker work and a lot of coloring. First thing we're going to do, just like, you know, most of the time, is we're going to start with the nose. I like to start with the nose because it's the sort of the middle of the drawing, the middle of the face. It starts a lot of the features, and it allows me to visualize how the face is going to build out from there. So I'm going to find the center of my page. Boop, boop. That looks about right. And then I'm going to find the middle of this space down here. All right? So if fractions are fun, this would be 1/4 of the way up the page or 3/4 of the way down the page. If fractions aren't your thing, just find this area right about here. And the first mark we're going to make is a wide V. All right? Very, very simple and very, very small. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw in the rest of the shape of the nose. And what that's kind of going to look like is kind of a warped soft W. And that's kind of a weird way to explain it, but I have a feeling after I draw the line, you'll understand what I mean. It's going to come out at the side, come in towards the middle, rise up a bit, come down, and then we're going to connect back up. So you'll see what I mean by warped W. See how that's kind of a W, but it's got a real soft middle. And inside the nose for the nostril, I'm going to use a D shape, but it's going to be on its side, on the round side, and maybe at a little bit of an angle. And it's just going to kind of go right in here, and it's going to be pretty small as well. Just like that, a little D shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, we're going to get in here with more black and more color later on. So this is just the basis of our drawing so that we can get started, give ourselves some guidelines so we can start packing in some wonderful color. From here, we're going to move up onto the bridge of the nose, and we're going to do a series of small lines. And it's just going to be a little bit outside of these points, up a bit. And this line is just going to be real easy, just like that. Next, we're going to work in what will be the top of the eyes. We've done very similar things like this before with many of our other animals. And I'm going to come up, maybe about the same distance I've got between here and here. I'm going to use my imagination to pretend that this line continues. And I'm just going to draw an arc. All right, it's going to almost go flat at the top. Not quite. Just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And the next thing we're going to do is draw in the bottom of the eye. Now this is a little bit of a variation from what we're used to. I'm going to start at the bottom of this line I made. I'm going to come down a little bit. Boop. All right, and I'm going to come back up and kind of make a circle on the end. Watch me. Down a little bit, and then come up and kind of circle it off there at the end. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just circle on the end there. And while I'm here, I'm going to just draw an arc line in here, and in here, and an arc line up here, and up here. All right, don't worry about that for now. We're going to get back in here with color and some more black. We'll square all these little things away that we might not be super happy with just yet, but we'll get there, I promise. All right, so the next lines we are going to make are going to be these very familiar lightning or zigzag lines. We're going to do it out here to sort of give us an idea of where we're going to start the ears. Now the way we're going to do this is pretty simple alignment, okay? It's basically going to be on the outside of this end of the eye that we've got, right? We're going to come up almost the distance between the eye and the nose, so about there. And we're going to draw this spark line down, down, down until it reaches where the top of the eye is. So it's almost going to be like a diagonal line, but we're going to put those zigzags or those lightning bolts in it, okay? This doesn't have to be a big curvy line. It kind of is going to be a diagonal line. So like I said, I'm going to start about the distance. Same distance from the nose to the eye. And just go like this. And I'm going to stop right where the eye stops. We'll do the same on the other side. There we go. Okay, let's start working in the ear. Right on top of this third line in this lightning bolt I made, I'm gonna come up, but I'm gonna come out a little bit. I'm not gonna go all the way up here. I'm just gonna make a short little line right here, okay? Whoop. Maybe almost to the top of my zigzags. I'll do the same on the other side, pretty much in the same space. There we go. And then to finish off the guidelines for the ears, we're going to make another lightning bolt line up here towards kind of near the top, but we're not going to connect it. Like that. Do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, I'm not too worried about these lines. I got a lot of color to get in here. And a lot of these lines end up getting, you know, kind of covered up. And then with our last step, my favorite step, when we add those little black details in, this stuff doesn't even matter anymore. All right. One thing I just want to add to the eyes while I got your markers out, we're just going to do a big C, a little bigger than usual. Instead of the little one, we're going to do pretty much, you know, right in the middle there, just like that. Kind of big, bigger than usual. Two more lines left, and then we get to color. Now these lines are going to be out here near the nose, and they're going to help us see how the shape of our cheeks and all this fluffiness is going to come out, okay? So pretty much at the bottom of the nose, I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to come down and out with a longer line. It's a pretty simple line. Well, watch me, and then try it yourself. Up, and then out towards the end there. And we'll do the same on the other side, of course. Up, and then out. And that's all for our marker today. I'm going to cap my marker so that it does not dry out, and put it aside. So maybe you've already decided what color you're going to do your raccoon today. I have. I'm going to do mine green. And in order to do that, or I should say in order to get that started, I'm going to choose 3 shades of green. Well, in my case, 2 shades of green and yellow. I want yellow to be my lightest color. But if you have 3 shades of green and you think you can avoid the yellow or you want to try something else, go for it. One note I will make is make sure you have a darker color set aside for later. So I actually have a really, really dark forest green that I'm saving for later. So I do have 3 shades of this green. Well, one of them's yellow. But I do have a darker one set aside. If you are having trouble with that, don't worry about that because you can substitute that darker color later on for any color you like. But I figure I'd just give you a clue into what my plan is. So here I am with 2 shades of green and yellow, and I'm going to start with this darkest one I have out of these 3. And just to repeat and reiterate, I have a darker green for later. Not a big deal though. So I'm going to start with my darkest one of those first 3. And I want to start putting in some of the darker areas where the darker fur might be and possibly some shadows. Now, we all know that we're going to have these very, very dark bands around the eyes. But let's hold off on that just for a second and get some of these other shadows I think are going to end up being pretty important. On the inside of this ear line, let's just put some dark in there. And we're not packing in too much color. We're just starting with some of our darker areas. And we'll get to these eyes in just a minute. I just want to help you get some of these other parts in first. Now around the nose I'm going to do a little bit of shading all the way up to the middle. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. A little bit. I'm going to do a little bit under here. Not too much. A little bit under there. Not too much. I'm going to come out to the end of my spark line here, or my lightning bolt line. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of dark there. I'm imagining that's where the outside of his ear is going to connect to his head. So maybe there's some thick fur right there. Okay. So let's start putting in the color for these eyes. Now I want to do this sort of in a couple different steps so that everybody gets to take advantage of the technique that I've worked out here in order to really show off this raccoon's probably most defining feature. Just sharpening up my dark green here for a moment. Alright, so I'm going to start above the eyes, and I'm going to use these angled strokes to mimic what direction I think his fur might be going in. Just like that. Just a little bit. For now, we'll do that on both sides. Okay. Now, in keeping with the spirit of using my pencil stroke to help my imagination guide the angle of his fur, I'm going to do the same thing under his eyes. All right. This is just cueing me up for the angle of this fur that's going to come out. And I'm kind of going to do this technique I just did a few times as I head down towards, this line, but I'm not going to connect here. I just want to get some dark in right down like that. All right, you don't have to worry too much. We're going to come back here and add some more. But this is just a start, and you can see how that sort of is starting to give our guy a little bit of character. Mine aren't perfect, they're not perfectly symmetrical, but that's okay. Fur is usually messy. But I will try to keep my general shape relatively similar. Alright, not too worried about this because I already know I'm coming back with more colors, more shades of green, and some other colors. A few more areas of dark I'd like to get in. We're going to come up from the eye, and we're going to make a little bit of a stripe, almost going straight up, just like that. A little bit of a stripe. Okay. I also want a little bit of a stripe going across the bridge of the nose. Oops. Just a little bit. I mentioned earlier that I thought white paper was the best choice, and that is because when we start adding our other colors, we're not always going to bang our colors into our other colors like we usually do. We're going to leave these bands of white. So we might be putting some color in up here, but I want to leave that band of white in between those two colors. And that's going to help give our raccoon, almost make our raccoon look like he's got that white fur. But we don't have to draw it. We're going to draw around it, and then our eyes and our imaginations, when we're enjoying our art later, will make that look like fur. I'm just going to add a few more little areas of this dark color right across the bridge of the nose. Maybe there's a little bit of a point there, and right down the middle, maybe there's a little bit of a point there, and a little bit more up here. And I'm starting to imagine where this ear might end, but that's all right. It doesn't have to be a final decision just yet. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. I think I'll move on to my second color now. And my second color is another shade of green. It's a little lighter, not too much lighter, but certainly lighter. Just going to sharpen this up so when I come back for it, it's sharp. All right. So here is my second shade of green that I didn't quite leave as sharp as I want. So, my second shade of green. And it's okay if this is a similar color. Mine is, it's pretty close. But, you know, it's okay if it's a little close. We're just trying to add an extra shade of green so that our raccoon has a little more texture in his fur. So with this color, I'm gonna imagine the top of his ear, all right? And I'm gonna start where I had this dark area. I'm not gonna connect it to anything else. I'm just gonna let this second color kind of float into space a little bit. Right? I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm just gonna let that color float into space a little bit. Same thing on the other side. And I think if you kind of squint your eyes and use your imagination at this stage, you can see what I mean. That this negative space, this white paper I'm leaving behind, is starting to look like white fur. And that effect will get more and more obvious as we add more colors. But let's pay attention to leaving these white bands in here, especially above the eyes and around the nose and out here. Let's focus our color on where we've already started applying it. I'm going to add some of this green right in along with my dark green. Maybe come out a little bit further. Just so it shows the transition between fur color. Alright, it's okay to leave a little bit of white space in those scribbles. That's fine. I'm going to add a little bit of this middle green up inside the ear. And it's okay to leave some of that white paper behind in both our scribbles and where we're kind of suggesting where these features are beginning and ending. And with saying that, I'm going to try and imagine my raccoon's cheeks being pretty, or not cheeks rather, but this fur being pretty wide. So I'm going to take my second green and I'm just going to come out. I'm going to start visualizing how far out I think that might go. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a little far. That's okay though. We're going to be adding shadows in there and outlines and stuff later on. So I'm not too worried. And maybe this starts coming up towards it. Alright, I'm going to add some of this green on the snout here. But I'm going to change the direction of my stroke a little bit. So instead of doing this stroke for the eye, I'm going to do a stroke like this to start the sort of shape of the snout. Just changing the direction a little bit. I'm going to pull this color right across the middle of the nose. I'm going to do a little bit more up here. And I'm going to carry a little bit up with the stripe. Stripes. Before I get away from this color here, I think I'm going to go right over this line. There we go. Felt like a good idea. Just going to put some of this above the eye. All right. Cool. I think we're getting there, huh? Pretty good start here. Might have gone out here a little far. I don't even know if my eraser will work. Hey, it kind of did work. What do you know? Great. Not great though. All right, let's move on to our next color. For me, my third shade of green actually ends up being yellow. If you have a third shade of green, great, go for it. If you have another light color that you think might work well with green, cool, try it. For me, I'm going to go with yellow. I'm just going to sharpen this sucker up. All right, this is where things start to get fun, because we're going to start to creep our yellow towards our dark areas, but we're making sure we're leaving white bands in here, okay? Ears. The big one is going to be right around the eyes. Then that's really going to give that depth, okay? So, let's see. I think I'll start up here and come down at the top of the head. And I think you guys can see what I mean, right? If I do it a little bit here as well. Oh yeah, see how that really starts to let that white space play as fur. I like that a lot. So I'm going to use my yellow and just continue to chase around some of my other colors, leaving a white band wherever I can. So have fun here, stay loose, and use your imagination. Where does your raccoon have this lighter fur? You know, mine tends to have it above the eyes, certainly under here. So let me see, I want to get some more out here. Get some more down here. Let's get some coming out from under here. I'm just going to sharpen this up. Windy out today. Another thing I want to do with my yellow is I'm going to saturate actually directly on top of my dark green. We've done this 100 times before, and that's to make this green really, really rich. While I'm doing that, I'd like to share a fun fact with you about these black markings on raccoons, or mine are green. The reason why they have these is very similar, and I found this fascinating. It's very similar to why athletes wear dark tape or black shoe polish or paint underneath their eyes. And the only difference is this effect helps the raccoon see at night. Because we all know raccoons go out at night, not just to play, but to eat and stuff like that. So because the light doesn't reflect as much off the darker color, they can see better at night and eat more of your trash. They don't only eat trash, though. They actually eat bugs that are pains and other gross stuff that needs to get out of our way. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good about the yellow that I've got here. I've used it sparingly. I'm not going crazy. You know what? Maybe there's a little bit more pointing towards the snout. Not too much. It's a light color, so you can apply it pretty freely, knowing that we're coming back in with more colors. Okay, so we've used our 3 shades of our first color, right? The base of our raccoon. So here's where I mentioned earlier that if you could possibly save a darker value of your chosen color, that we'd get an opportunity to use it. Well, here's that opportunity. So I have this really, really dark green. Now, I don't need it very much. I can use it relatively sparingly. But it does have a nice effect, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. I'm going to use it to highlight, you know, where the direction of the fur that I believe, in my imagination, is here. So again, I'm going to use it sparingly, and I'm just going to add a few dark lines. I'll do some up here too. And I'll do some here. You're definitely going to need some of this in the ear. Okay, maybe even on the inside there too. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's a little bit under there. I just realized I forgot some yellow. Let's put some yellow in around. I'm going back to my yellow. I'm just going to put some in around the nose here. I really wanted to get that fur to look good, so let's put that in real quick. Real quick, like. There we go. Maybe a little bit more under here. Sorry about that. All right, back to my dark. All right, I'm going to add a little bit under here just to sort of enhance that shadow. And maybe there's a little bit in here on the bridge, a little bit. Bridge of the nose, a little bit in there. And maybe there's a little bit up here too. Again, I'm using this very sparingly. This is just sort of a little bit of an embellishment. Okay. Sharpen that up, put it aside. Now here's where things, at least for me, get fun. Hopefully this doesn't trip you guys up too much. But I'm going to come in with another color that I think works well with the yellow. And for me, it's this light tan. For you, it might be orange. But for me, I'm going to try this light tan here. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm almost going to start to get towards the white a little bit, because I feel like that'll look like hairs coming out from the white into my other colors. So let's start up here to see how that looks like. I'm going to go above this spark line into the white. Just a little. Yeah. You see how that starts to let my other colors be independent while also highlighting this white stripe that I'm leaving behind. Do the same thing out here. And again, this is another color that I'm using very sparingly. I don't want to overdo too much color because I'm really trying to focus on these white highlights. Few lines here and there go a long way when we're working with a drawing that requires what I call negative space, or these white areas. Maybe there's some under the eyes here. There's definitely going to be some up here. Still trying to go very sparingly, make very deliberate decisions on where I want this color to show up in small amounts. Maybe there's some out here, just highlighting that transition from yellow to white. Let's do some under here. A little bit under the nose, I think. Let's get just a little bit under the eyes, just for a little bit of color in there. Maybe he's got some little bit sticking out up there. All right. This drawing moving on pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and I don't like the white stripe in the middle of the ear here. It's bugging me a little bit, so I'm going to use this color to fill that in. And maybe you liked your white space. You know, maybe you don't want to do this, but I don't know. Something told me that felt a little off balance, so I went ahead and colored that in. I'm going to use this brown a little bit in here to fill in some of these leftover white, I don't know, scribble gaps. Oh, I'm always coming up with new terminology for this stuff. I'll just get them in there too. See how that's really starting to play forward? It's pretty cool. Maybe we'll just go ahead and let it connect a little bit in the middle there. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I like how this white is really starting to play itself up. All right. Okay, so let's move towards the eyes. I decided to do my eyes pink and red really, and I wanted to tell you guys why, because I think this might help you make some color decisions in the future. And I wanted to just explain what opposites of colors are. So, for instance, the opposite of blue is orange. The opposite of purple is yellow. The opposite of green is red. Now, in the art world, or if you've taken any art classes, you might actually know these as complementary colors. Because opposites, when we're talking about color, enhance each other. Opposites sort of allow other colors to pop more. So because green is the opposite of red, I thought red or pink eyes would bring this thing to life. And let's find out. I'm going to start with a light pink, okay? And I'm just going to color it all in, all around the circle. I'm going to leave the middle of the C white. Something we've all done 100 times. Well, maybe not 100, I don't know, however many drawings I got of it. Now I'm going to come in with red. I'm just going to color in the top. I think that'll just give me the illusion of a shadow being cast down on top of the eye. That's it. No big deal. I'm not even worried about it. I think it looks great, just like that. All right. Man, that was easy. Okay. I hope it was easy for you guys too. I'm gonna sharpen my red up, put it aside. All right, the next thing I want to do is color in the nose. But before I do that, I'm also going to color in the whites of the eye here. In here. And in here. Up here. And up here. That was already colored in a little bit. But let's finish it off. Just finish it off. Make it look all nice. Make those circles look as circular as I can. Alright. Keep my black in this huge black pencil I have. I'm coloring the nose. Now we've done something like this in the past as well. But we have this V here, so we're just going to have to start dark, get light. Start dark, get light. Same thing from the bottom. Start dark and get light. Alright? Now we're going to color or shade in the sides a little bit. Dark, dark, dark. And let it fade to light. Dark, dark, dark. Let it fade into light. Kind of got this light highlight in the middle of the nose. We're actually going to cut that in half. And put a line in between. Pretty simple. Color in the middle of the nostril if you want. There's a nice little effect there. Looks like there's a little bit of a reflection coming off the nose. Alright. Keeping my black in my hand, we're going to do our suggestive outline. We're going to do around the outside a little bit here and there. A little bit in here. We're going to make a few detail lines in here. And we're probably, I still feel like the inside of the ears are a little light, so I might even shade those up a little bit too. I'm going to start with the top of the ear. Just make a couple little wiggles. Okay. And go to the outside of the ear. Same thing. A couple little wiggles. And I'm letting the imagination fill in that white fur. Come out here, I'll do a couple little wiggles. Down here, do a couple more little wiggles. Do a little bit around this bandit type feature. Just a couple little wiggles. Maybe up the stripe a little bit. Come up that way. And maybe there's a couple up here. Maybe there's a little bit under here too. Like the angle of which we're kind of drawing our raccoon today doesn't really show the bottom of his mouth, so I don't want to get caught up down here. I kind of like the way this kind of finishes. If you want to draw a little chin or something like that, and go ahead, that's fine. I'm not going to. All right, I'm just going to add a couple little more wiggles out here, down here, just to give my guy a couple extra details. I'm also going to add a little bit of an eye line on the outside with my black. You can see how that kind of gives his eyes a little more life, a little more energy. All right, so like I said, I'm still feeling like these are too dark, too light, so I'm just gonna really just darken them in and just be done with it. Then I don't have to think about it anymore. It doesn't have to bug me anymore. No big deal, not really stressing about it. Just looking at my drawing and listening to my artistic instinct and answering the call. All right, so you can either keep your black pencil out, or you can move to a different color. What we're going to do is a little bit of these final parts. I actually discovered today that I wanted to try purple whiskers. And I told you guys earlier, yellow is the opposite of purple. So I thought, what better opportunity, if I'm going to teach you guys about complementary colors, to let my purple play off my yellow, while my reds are also playing off my greens. What a great idea. So I'm going to switch to purple. And this is going to be my final step. Going to put some of these details in that we usually do with the black, but we got some of those roughed in okay already. So, just like I promised, let's start with the whiskers. Now, a raccoon has a lot of whiskers, but if we overdraw our whiskers, it tends to take over the drawing. So I just like to do 3 or 4. I always think about how I want them to play, what shapes they are. Do they droop? Are they up? Are they out? Are they straight? With the raccoon, I found they're straight, relatively straight, and they're long. So build up some courage here, and I'm just gonna pop some whiskers in just like that. Start them all kind of close together, and then maybe just put a few little wispy ones, maybe even just a couple. Not sweating it too much. Do a couple above the eye. Like the purple whiskers, very cool. So I can keep this purple out and just use it just to add a few more shadows. The inside of the ear, I don't know, I think it should be dark. That's just screaming out, Chris, color me in. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. That was my artistic instinct speaking out loud. And maybe we're just adding some purple in here as well to highlight all the cool colors we packed in there. Oops, I bumped my head. Maybe there's a little bit in here, a little bit heading up towards there. There's a couple little specks in there, some little bit out here. Just putting a little bit in here and there where the yellow's living alone to tell the yellow you're not alone. Okie dokie. I think we're there. I think we're there. I like this a lot. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna put a little bit of purple on top of the eye, very, very lightly, just to push that, keep pushing that shadow in. All right, look at that. With 10 minutes to spare. I think that I've done enough here, though. I don't want to go any further than I need to with any particular drawing. Maybe later, when I'm enjoying this drawing and looking at it, I might add a little bit more orange or something. I haven't really made that decision yet, so I like the way this looks now, so I'm going to sign my work. I think today I will use pink. Yeah, pink seems cool. Pink seems like a good idea. All right. CHRIS. There we go. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I think we got a cool drawing done today. And we learned a little bit about how color plays against other colors. Those little bits of information can help inform other color decisions that you might make in some of the other drawings that we've done. And don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to just have fun when you're doing this stuff, because really that's what drawing is all about. The fun parts, right? All right, guys, thanks again. What fun we had today. And I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Be good to your parents and they'll be good to you. And enjoy. See you Friday. Don't forget to post your pics, okay? Thumbs up. Smile. Bye-bye.